What's up YouTube, it's your boy the Ol Drunken Geek. A couple of weeks ago I gave you the video for my top 11 MCU movies. These are my least favorite MCU movies, so I'll be counting down from my most favorite to my least favorite. So my number 11 pick is Thor, the original Thor. I actually like this movie a lot more than other people. When they showed us Asgard, you know, at this point we hadn't even seen Guardians, we hadn't seen none of that. This is like our first foray into the MCU. When I fucking first saw Asgard, it jumped out of the comic book page into my face, you know, the Rainbow Bridge, everything I had seen in comics, or, you know, I've gotten pictures of older comics. I didn't read the old Thor comics when this dude was running around Asgard with, you know, Beta Ray Bill. I started reading comics in like the 90s and shit, so you know, it was way past its classical Thor time. Furthermore than that, I like the whole Shakespearean thing, you know, how he talked, the challenge that was put before him that reverberated all the way to the further films of, you know, him being worthy because he has to be humble. He's not a hero that's just right off the bat super powerful. You know, he kind of is, but Odin put that challenge before him of the hammer, and I thought that was really cool. Hemsworth did a great job, man. So here's the fucking Thor, God of Thunder. Number 10 is still Thor, the God of Thunder, but this time Thor Ragnarok. Now, the visuals of Ragnarok are a lot better than the original Thor. Why is it a less favorite movie for me? Because I really like the first Thor, man. What can I say? I like, you know, the challenge that was posed before him. In this movie, I felt like they cheapened all of that. Now, upon further viewings, I've grown to like this movie because I hated this movie when it first came out. I thought it was stupid. The end was like played for jokes. It was like, boom, they destroyed Asgard, and you're like, fuck, that's a serious moment. And they're like laughing, joking about it, and it's like, come on, man, like his friends died and all that shit. And it was kind of, you know, like brushed off like it wasn't important. Now seeing Infinity War and Endgame and seeing that he did have to deal with all that stuff, it sweetened the pot a little bit for me, you know what I mean? And like, you know, I like this new comedic take. It was a comedy first. I felt like this movie was a comedy first. With that being said, I still like the first Thor better, but, you know, it's neither here or there. This movie's still somewhat high on my list, really. Number 9, Doctor Strange. Again, a movie that fucking skates on its visuals. But besides that, this movie I thought had a very, very strong first half. I loved all the stuff with Doctor Strange, you know, fucking up his hands and going to the Ancient One, even though there was some drama where they were supposed to be Asian, but not Tibetan, but they had Chinese investors. Who the hell knows? They made her Tilda Swinton, you know, a white lady. Whatever. What are you gonna do, right? Hollywood. Still, with all that, I liked it, but I felt like at the very end, the movie kind of fell apart. It became like the Three Stooges, you know, the thing with the cape. Like, it became stupid. To me, the action wasn't very fulfilling, even though the visuals of the, you know, and the, you know, como se escarchaba, all the fucking ceilings and shit, and the floor all became all diamondy. That I thought was cool, but not enough. The action left something to be desired. And the villain left something to be desired. The very end fight, you know, the boss fight, instead of having the stupid, oh, we're gonna go against the big thing, he goes against Dormammu and he kind of tricks him. You know, he wins in that way, which I thought was kind of cool and a new flavor in the MCU arsenal, kind of. It wasn't enough to get higher on my list, man. Number 8 is Doctor Strange. Number 8 is Iron Man. No. Number 8 is AntMan, which is the same movie as fucking Doctor Strange, basically, and the same movie as Iron Man. Kind of carbon copy-ish, with different elements, obviously, but very similar. AntMan I liked. I thought it was a fun romp, especially after Age of Ultron, which was so big and so, like, cumbersome to watch, so much things going on. It was a smaller story. Get it? But yeah, like I said, it was a smaller story. It was about a specific heist movie kind of thing. And yeah, man, it was fun. You know, Paul Rudd, I could watch that guy paint a wall, preferably in some Daisy Dukes. Evangeline Lilly was also likable enough. Michael Douglas, you know, kind of phoning it in a little bit, but it's okay. Visuals were okay, I guess. The shrinking power and how it worked was cool. That scene he had with Falcon was cool, and we perhaps got the best, you know, promotional material of any movie ever. Ants. My number 7 pick is Avengers Age of Ultron. This was the, you know, the sequel to the first Avengers that everybody thought was like, fuck, this is gonna be dope. But it feels like, you know, like the studio had their little fingers in the pot and try to fiddle with shit that Joss Whedon was doing and demanded too much shit. I felt like this movie had a lot of good moments, but a lot of misses too. I felt it was way too cluttered. I didn't like James Spader as Ultron, let's keep it real. He was so like, I am the Ultron that sips wine while he monologues. Like, bitch, that's not Ultron. Ultron is a robot. You know, like, it just didn't feel it fit the character. I know they did their own version of Ultron. I'm not a fucking moron, but I just didn't quite care for it. It's alright. It had a lot of cool things. It had Vision, the introduction of Vision. The introduction of Wanda Maximoff? Do they call her Maximoff in the movies? Who the fuck knows? But Scarlet Witch, you know, with her finger arthritis thing. And, you know, that fake-ass Quicksilver, which was okay. It could have been a lot better. It had that whole Thor pool things scene that was supposed to, like, you know, be a preview for Thor Ragnarok, which didn't exactly pan out the same way. But, you know, like I said, this movie was cluttered, and that's why it kind of, you know, got lower on my list. Number 6 on my list is a movie that most people would have put at number 1 in their worst MCU list. Thor: The Dark World. I thought that this movie had some stuff going for it. I like it more than most. I realized that a lot of people really hated this movie. Like I said, man, I like sci-fi worlds. I like the detail in the sci-fi worlds, dude. I loved Asgard, man. I just gotta keep it G. How they had those Viking boat ships. They had, you know, those like Viking sword lightsaber things with the shields. That was all cool, man. Like, how are they gonna translate Viking mythology lore into like a more realistic thing? Oh yeah, they're gods, but they're like other realm aliens, and like they have like technology that's like magic. You know, all that shit was explained in the first Thor. That's why I liked it so much. The whole Loki-Thor dynamic, I thought that was really cool. And, you know, Malekith, though. What a shit villain. And also, like, the shoehorning of all the extra comedy that didn't need to be there. Also, is why it's still on my bottom side of the list. And Natalie Portman, you know, not at her best. Actually, it wasn't even her fault, man. She, you know, didn't have a lot to work with script-wise. The whole ether thing was weird. Number 5, and this might be contested. Tomorrow I might wake up and put this on higher than Age of Ultron, the Incredible Hulk movie. I thought Edward was a fine Hulk. I thought he was cool enough. I liked the plot. It was pretty straightforward plot, pretty standard Hulk story. I felt like it needed a little bit more meat on its bones. The villain was kind of bland, to be honest. You know, it's a guy that just wanted to get stronger. He wanted to be the next Captain America, basically. What I did like about this movie is that it planted a lot of seeds for other things in the MCU, namely S.H.I.E.L.D., really. This is what planted the seeds, but they name dropped Captain America, or they might have mentioned something about Captain America and this whole super soldier serum thing. It left an open-ended ending, you know, with the leader. Like, that green shit was dripping on that guy's head, and you're like, oh, that's gonna be the leader for the next movie. Just never got another movie because Edward Norton was being a dickweed about, you know, the scenes that he had shot that he wanted to be in the movie or whatever. Who the fuck knows? The action to me was a little bit Hulk gratuitous, even though everybody has been clamoring for the Hulk to fight somebody as strong as him again. Run a real fade. Not like what he had with Thanos. Thanos just two-pieced him real quick and like, peace. He never got that rematch with Thanos, now that I think about it. Now, for my number 4 pick, we have the last movie that I actually kind of like in all of this list, you know, before we get into the real stinkers of the stinkers. And it is Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was fun because, again, Paul Rudd is a funny character. You know, he's a funny guy. Even though I thought that in this movie, they kind of depowered him in a little bit. They nerfed him by making him a little bit more incompetent than they had in the first Ant-Man. It was just a funnish romp. To me, it didn't add much to the MCU. They did give that Ghost character some development, but they fumbled it a little bit at the end. They didn't go all in with it. The Wasp scenes were kind of cool. You know, how she uses the power opposed to him because she just has like little wings. Okay, so we're at my number 3 pick, and it is Iron Man 2. This movie is almost worldwide panned as like one of the worst MCU movies. And the reason being is that nothing really hits. It feels like an exposition machine, you know. You get Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and Black Widow, and everything seems rushed. In retrospect, it does do wonders for building out the world of the MCU, but at the same time, it feels sloppy and it feels clunky, and a lot of scenes seem forced. The villain, Whiplash, seems forced, and Mickey Rourke, who's normally a good actor, you know, just doesn't fit the part to me very well. One thing that I did like about the movie was the actual arc of Iron Man being sick and, you know, trying to deal with that, trying to deal with his alcoholism, and Rhodey helping him, kind of helping him through it. And who didn't want to see War Machine? You know, that's why it is my number 3 and not my number 1. Okay, so my number 2 least favorite MCU movie is Captain Marvel. Now, I'm just mad that throughout the whole movie, we still don't know who this character is, really. She's just like a badass chick, and that's not enough to sell us on a movie. Try to sell us on the character first, I think, would be the best thing. And the movie was a little bit complicated because of its structure of, you know, her not knowing who she is, but we don't really find out who she is through her. We kind of get it through exposition, and it's weird, and we don't have any relationships that are really highlighted at the beginning of the movie that pay off later. Almost at the middle of the movie, you get like a character that gives her some humanity just introduced. This could have been great, but it wasn't. They kind of fumbled it, and I think it is because they rushed through it, and you know, it is what it is. She, to me, also took up a lot of space in Avengers Endgame. All her scenes to me kind of fell flat and just like were wholly unnecessary. I feel like they should have waited to, you know, instead of like trying to compete with DC for like the woman thing. Like that's a mistake that DC makes. Like you're Marvel, you don't need to be like trying to compete and be like, oh, we need to get some of that, you know, I don't want to sound like a chode, but like some of that feminist money. Let's get the superhero. How about you like take your time and like do it right? You have a good story to tell. Hopefully, you know, it gets better for Captain Marvel from here on in. And, you know, she's a super fucking powerful character, too, so it's going to be difficult to tell a story around her, but neither here nor there. So, we are at my number 1 pick for my least favorite Marvel movie. Now, I gotta say, this whole list, my least favorite, not like I hate these movies. I love these fucking movies. Even Captain Marvel, even Thor the Dark World, even fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp. I like them all, really. But, you know, the last 3, Iron Man 2, Captain Marvel, are kind of eh. My number 1 pick is the only MCU movie that I walked out of the theaters pissed off at. That didn't get redeemed later. Because Thor Ragnarok, I was kind of eh, but then it got redeemed later. This movie is done. The arc of the character is done, and this movie to me is like the most annoying fucking movie. This one's like the one that I'm like, ugh. I've only seen it twice. I've seen most of these movies at least 5 times. And this one I've only seen twice because I just didn't care for it neither the first or second time. And it is Iron Man 3. I know a lot of people can argue that it's better than Iron Man 2, better than a lot of shit. My thing is, the villain was whack. That scientist guy was whack. It was stupid. I hate that they gave us the Mandarin and then they took it away. It was like, oh, like, nah, I didn't like that. Also, I came to an Iron Man movie to watch Iron Man, not to watch him fumble around, you know, whatever fucking he was at Dakota for, you know, half the movie. And even though, like, I do like the stories of, like, a superhero being depowered and having to figure shit out, they just didn't nail it with this character for me. And also, like, how he went at the Mandarin was just like, oh, you know, he just blew up on social media, like, oh yeah, come on, come after me, we're gonna fight, bro. Just not that it's wholly uncharacteristic of Tony Stark, but at this point he's pretty far in his arc, and it's like, come on, dude, wise him the fuck up. Also, like, you've got all this technology and this motherfucker just snuck up on you with like 2 helicopters, blew your whole shit up. That show to me was whack. I'm from Miami, man. I should love this fucking movie, but that whole twist just with the Mandarin, just I couldn't accept it. It was, yeah, Ben Kingsley, he could have been a good Mandarin. Like, you gave me a dude that's a walking lightsaber, and then they made Gwyneth Paltrow's character a walking lightsaber too. I just, maybe I should watch it one more time. Maybe my list would change, but this is the one movie that just kind of sticks in my craw. But Tony Stark's arc is redeemed. Everything's good. I love these Marvel movies at the end of the day, and we all do. So, yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today. If you like this video, hit the like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Check us out on Instagram, Ol Drunken Geek, dropping loads. Check out other shows on our beautiful channel we got here. And, yeah, man, that's all I got for you guys today. ODG out.